down to Clemson, South Carolina, where you kind of hit on the Troy side of things. I'm going to be real with you here. I think there is a sense of let's say, do you sound the alarm? Do you worry about the legitimacy of this team heading into their ACC play? They've got a big one in Atlanta this week. I'm a little nervous if I'm a Clemson fan right now because I think LSU's defense is great. All due respect, Ralph, they should have beaten Troy by more. I think you can see, you knew going in, right, that it needed to look like that. That being said, very, very interesting with what we can see there in terms of Clemson. So, Ralph, I'll start with you, man. You watched this game very closely. Klubnik didn't look very comfortable. The Tigers, a struggle win at home to get to 1-1 before they head to Atlanta next week.
Well, that first half looked bad. I'll admit it fully. It was a bad first half by Clemson. Obviously, the delay was kind of painful for them too. It hurt them a little bit at first, and I just wasn't really sold on Clemson in the first half. But we talked last night, and I told you exactly what happened. They leaned on those athletes and their star talent in the second half, and it showed. Adam Randall goes over 100 yards. Klubnik looks like a Heisman contender in the second half. And then Bryant Wesco runs. He was with the star receiver in the second half. He killed Troy. He torched Troy in the second half, and it just was not working. We couldn't stop anything, and their defense was stellar in the second half. I could not tell you which drive it was. It might have been the second to last drive where I think the 3 plays we had on offense, they blitzed all 3 plays and bullied our offensive line. Just sent one after another. It was just we couldn't block anybody, and that's what Clemson was going to stand on. The rest of the game was they had better talent. Peter Woods and TJ Parker were just wrecking just havoc on the offensive line, on Troy's offensive line. And I say going into Tech, they take the wins in the second half and build off that. You kind of just completely blank on that first half. You have to, because it's going to be a problem for you going into a team that's riding high right now. It looks good, and just completely forget the first half. Just take the first half, throw it out the window, build on your second half performance, because it was 10 times better.
Will, what's the level of concern if you're a Clemson fan right now?
The alarm bells are ringing. You can hear them for miles. A lot of problems. Like you said, Clemson should have been able to approach this game against Troy and just do what they want to do. Don't react to what Troy was doing. Make Troy react to what you wanted to do, because of the talent disparity there. This Clemson offense is bad. It's bad. The numbers look good, but it's bad. They don't have a running back. Remember, they're playing a converted wide receiver at running back. The offensive line is a huge mess. I'll be surprised if Garrett Riley makes it through this season. I really do, because this is not looking good. Like Ralph said, they're getting ready to face a hot Georgia Tech team in Atlanta. First time they get out on the road, that could spell a lot of problems. Bobby Dodd Stadium is going to be rocking on Saturday for this Clemson game. And if Clemson comes out flat like they did against Troy, I don't think they're going to be able to score enough to get back and beat Georgia Tech. So they've got a lot to fix, and they got to do it in a hurry.
I want to say one thing real quick before you get this comment, Bryce. And Will's correct. They are relying on a converted receiver at running back. But the first half, they didn't run him very much. The second half, they decided just to say Troy's defensive line can't be better than the offensive line, and they ran him up the middle of the entire game, it felt like. And he ran through the linebackers like they were just middle school football players. I'm not knocking anything who he is and who that Troy played or who Troy has, but it was embarrassing watching Troy try to tackle that guy. He was
they leaned on him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they leaned on their talent, and that's who one of their talented players is. Now, with Georgia Tech, have Georgia Tech? I don't think so. I don't think he's gonna run for 100+ against Georgia Tech on 21 carries. But the secondary for Clemson also played very well, by the way, in the second half. The first half they gave up one long touchdown play. After that, it was basically locked down.
Clemson's defense is going to keep them in games. Like Will said, their offense is going to have to find, dare I say, a first gear. I mean, I don't think they've found their first gear yet as an offense. And Dr. Bob brings up a great point. It was something that I was talking about coming out of the LSU game, was the major weakness of a Dabo Swinney era has consistently been their offensive line. And this is true. They've never had like an elite group, an elite unit. They've been pretty good, but they've had quarterbacks that have been able to overcome any potential deficiencies, because when you go back and look, when they have won big games or, had big seasons, they had, I'm not going to throw around the word generational. That was thrown around enough last week by certain media members. But they've had high draft picks, right? Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, guys that could extend plays with their legs, make off-platform throws, do a lot of things that you need to do. And so in terms of that, you had everything you needed. Now, look, I mean, Klubnik to me hasn't shown me enough where he's to the point I say he's a top 5 quarterback in the country, maybe in the top 10 right now. Whatever's going on there with Garrett Riley, the marriage with this Clemson offense, it's clunky. It's not smooth. I'll give it to him in week 1 because I do really think that LSU's offense is a top 15 unit. The game against Troy, and Dev said it earlier, give credit to Troy, they came out and attacked, and look, a lot of teams did that this weekend. The fact that Clemson just kind of slow played this thing was kind of weird, especially coming off a loss. If they'd have beaten LSU, the narrative would be, well, it's just a traditional letdown game, kind of what happened in Baton Rouge on Saturday night. This one, all due respect, Troy, you should have been fired up for this game, and I don't see the fire, the killer instinct out of this Clemson offensive line. And we talk about the receivers. I'm going to be real with you. They got to go out there and show that they're elite, can create separation, can win the 50-50 balls. They've done it in spurts, but this is supposed to be the big thing that was fixed in years prior. They're supposed to have the skill talent for Cade Klubnik to be able to throw those anticipation throws. I like the guys they have. I like the potential of them. It's just not necessarily one of those things where we've seen it. It's been 2 weeks. You're going to have that against a physical team, and a team like, I continue to say this, and we'll talk about it throughout the week on our tech shows, they want to play in the phone booth. Clemson is going to win the game if they play outside the phone booth. If Clemson tries to play inside the phone booth, Georgia Tech and a couple of teams on that ACC schedule, they're going to end up with 4 losses on the season. They're going to end up like 8-4 and in a weird situation. So kind of putting a bow on this, the Clemson struggles, I'll answer it. The alarm is sounded. If they lose this weekend, I'm not saying it's a bad loss, but if they lose this weekend, then it's like, okay, you've had 2 games against top 30 defenses where you not really had anything to show. If they go there and kind of get stifled in Atlanta, I think there's a point where it's like, okay, Dabo went and got Garrett Riley. We were high on Riley with what he did at TCU. Whatever has happened over the past 18 months just has not transpired to being a working combination. And so you got to get creative going forward. Any final thoughts from you guys on this one, or Will, Ralph, whoever wants to take it?
They're going to have to recruit better. I think that's been a big problem. I mean, I know it's asking a lot going out and finding freshmen to come start on your offensive line, but I just think there's a talent-wise, it's just not there. Receiver-wise, it's just not there.
Yeah.
And you look at these offenses in the ACC, Miami, Georgia Tech, SMU. If Clemson gets behind against these teams, I don't think they're going to come back and beat them. I don't think their defense is good enough to win these 17-10 games every week, or be in 17-10 games like they were against LSU. I don't think they can do that week to week. They got to get something figured out before they play Georgia Tech on Saturday.
I wanted to say one more thing also, and I was texting Jonesy a lot during the game. You're a friend of the program here. He was texting me.
That's bold.
That's a bold. Yeah, you put that out there. Oh boy.
He was texting me during the game saying this is impressive. Very happy for Troy. I told him it's just not going to go the way we want it to. And right before halftime, Troy has a chance to put some points on the board, continue to run the ball, run the clock out, and then put the backup kicker in there, and he misses a field goal. And now Clemson's got some momentum going into halftime, and they use it obviously and go, and shut you down in the second half. I thought that was probably the worst part of the game to me to watch, because I knew for going on from there, it was going to get bad. Because you could tell that the tides are turning when that kick went up in there, and they just didn't go through. It just everything started to crumble for Troy. And I know you didn't want me to ramble about Troy, and I won't go any further after this, but it's the first half was a really good eye opener for me for this team going forward. But going back to Clemson side here, I'm not worried about them going forward. I still think they're a very good team overall. Their defense is just so good and so talented on all sides of the ball. But I still think Clemson's good. I saw it a lot in that second half was what I know he can play like.
Well, here's the problem.
That one interception was really not his fault. He just got batted down the line. Just a good defensive play, honestly, what it was.
Here's the thing on that. He is good. Right now, he has to be great or elite for them to be able to move the football. And like Will said, there's a talent disparity they don't have. I mentioned this heading in the LSU Clemson game. We saw in that second half, they don't have elite team speed on the perimeter. They just don't. And I think they've got some impressive young guys. Like their running backs. They got Randall. I get that. They've got some impressive young backs. Jay Haynes, the Gideon kid. Like they've got some guys who could be playmakers for them. You got to get them integrated quickly because you don't have time to necessarily blink against that. And to your point, Will, as we round it off here, this is also a situation of where for Clemson, I'm with you. I don't know if you can get in shootouts. I mean, look, SMU just lost this past weekend. They put up 42 points. They lost that game, or 45 points, lost the game 48-45. One of those.
It was in overtime. Yeah.
Overtime. Yeah. They put up 40 plus points. Georgia Tech, I mean, they're going to be able to score. Like they're going to score against you. Miami's going to be able to score against you. There's some other programs in this conference, Florida State potentially, Louisville potentially. I mean, you start to kind of go down the line. There's about 6 programs in this conference that are going to put up 25 plus points. Can you go do that? And we'll see. I think you're going to enter a situation where you're going to have a Clemson defense that can't blink, and if they blink, they're going to lose some tough games. We'll see what happens, but Clemson struggling, I think, definitely sounds the alarm.